Guys, welcome back to the channel. What have we here? What have we here? It is 3:54 p.m. here in Tokyo, Japan. Wonderful sunny day. Was just about to go out and enjoy Golden Week. That's the set of holidays for this week. And I see, just by chance, I was like, let me just check YouTube again. Christopher Nolan. Chrissy boy, what are you doing? You drop a new trailer to the Odyssey at 11 p.m. Chicago time, is where I'm from. What are you doing? Can't run one by me. Come on. Guys, let's get into this. You guys know I'm a missionary, so I have a lot of experience studying history, religion, biblical archaeology, so this is right up my alley.
Tell me what you remember.
What you remember?
The wife?
Life. Penelope Cruz? No, that was Anne Hathaway. What am I talking about?
No.
Wow.
We won the war.
We won the war. I just feel so weird seeing
Help me go home.
the Punisher out there.
This is a household waiting for master.
Robert Pattinson.
I want you to choose me.
Oh, so he's the one. Okay.
Because King is coming back.
No, he's not.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Christopher Nolan is going straight on
He came back here to
mythology.
find all these suitors in his house.
John Leguizamo.
You're pining for a daddy you didn't even know, like some sniveling bastard.
Oh, my.
Who's looking after your wife and son?
Pattinson, man.
Do you see?
My
He's a
dad
great
is
actor.
coming home.
Coming home.
Bringing vengeance. Bringing it all.
Whoa.
I need everyone in this party dead. I can still save them.
You're a man who needs to control his fate. But you cannot control this. That world is gone.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Beautiful
No
imagery.
one could stand between me and home.
This is
Not
epic.
even the gods.
Keep us straight!
Ooh, that was a no-no.
I think it's asleep.
Awesome. Seinfeld, no, we're not watching that. I love Seinfeld, but not this time. Okay, guys. Wow. I got a lot of thoughts about that. That was an amazing trailer. I had some weird emotions. I had positives and negatives and some weirdness going on. Hold up. Japanese commercial. But largely, by the end of that trailer, wow, I think within 2 minutes, that trailer was 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, I was in shock. I was in awe. I had issues with some things. And by the end of it, I felt everything was rectified in my mind. Because I'm also an artist, right? So, yeah, I'm a missionary and I'm an artist. This is the art school, okay? This is an art studio if you're new to this channel. So I have a certain, I would say, out of the box way of looking at certain things artistically, okay? Anyway, look, first, love the film. What I love most of all is that it feels like a Christopher Nolan film. And I know that you're like, okay, that's expected, Ken. What are you talking about? Right? Okay, that's a no-brainer. But it's not easy as an artist to find your style and be consistent with it to the point where people know it's your work. Even if you're not in the room, even if it's not signed, it is signed anyway because of the elements that's consistent throughout the film or canvas here, right? Many of my friends tell me, like, Ken Ellis, you know, depends on what they want to call me. Both of my name, but they're like, I know you painted this. I know you drew this. Like, if we're in an art school or some other place back at, you know, I went to NIU in Illinois, Northern Illinois University, great college of art. And yeah, friends would see my work hanging up amongst other people's, and they would know automatically it was mine because there's certain traits in it and rhythms and motifs that come out of me that mean a lot to me that I'm not even aware of, that just are seeded in my work, you know? And I'm like always, you know, aghast, like, shocked. What? How do you know? What do you mean? This is a Ken. I wish they say it's a 10. But anyway, all right, my father is being conjured now in me. But yeah, so I like that it feels like a Christopher Nolan film. And that means a lot because I was expecting him, let me tell you what I mean. I was expecting him to do away with the more fantastical elements of the Trojan story, you know, the Iliad, the Odyssey. If you don't know, the Iliad is the story of the war before the Odyssey, okay? This is the Odyssey, so we'll probably just see the very end of the war, okay, and that's it. But the Iliad itself is its own epic. You know, you could make a movie. I don't think there have been many films about that except Troy from Wolfgang Peterson, I think, with Brad Pitt. That was good for what it was. It was good. It was good. You know, I would have loved to have seen a director's cut to that. But yeah. So I thought that Nolan would do away with the fantastical elements, right? Like giants, Cyclops, and all of that. But he didn't. And it looks all the more shocking when he shows those fantastical elements because he still shows them through the hyper-realist lens of his style, right? He has a way of using wide-angle shots, subdued saturation, right? Not desaturated, but just closer to the real world, right? When you looked at The Dark Knight, that city looked like it could have been any city in the real world. And to be honest, I believe they filmed a lot of it in my hometown, Chicago. So, you know, the underpass battle, right? With the truck carrying away Harvey Dent and the Joker attacking them and all that. I've been down that way many times as a kid, you know, in my dad's car, just, you know, so it just felt so surreal to see that very realistic setting in a fictional, slightly fantasized setting on screen with The Dark Knight. And so I feel the same way here. He had the same wide angle shots, regular saturation, with something out of this world happening in that frame, on that canvas. And that feels so weird. Like, whoa, what? Like it makes you feel there's a genre of writing fiction. I think it's called fantastique. It's of the French origin, right? If I didn't give that away. But it's a genre of writing where you write a fantasy story in a setting as if it's the real world. So people's reactions to it and even the descriptions of what's happening, the fantastical things, are subdued and a matter of fact. And so that gives it a much more like kind of chilling feel to it, like it's really happening in this world. I think Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I love that novel, and I haven't finished it yet. I've had that novel for like almost 20 years. You know, it's up on my shelf here. Brought it from the States to Japan. And I haven't finished it because I haven't found the right fireplace with professor's chair and, you know, tweed jacket to continue. You know, I have certain hangups. I'm from the hood in Chicago, but my dad, you know, my parents raised me on PBS, right? Public Broadcasting Service. Window to the world, WTTW Chicago. So that was their tagline, window to the world. And I was transported, you know, so I haven't, you know, I have these little tastes and stuff. So I haven't finished that book yet. But what I loved about it was that, and what I do love about it is that it's an epistolatory style book. It's written not in the traditional narrative style, right? With chapters and you know, an omniscient narrator. It doesn't have that. It's written entirely in diary, journal entries, newspaper clippings, weather magazine. You know, when Dracula comes on the boat, I don't know if you guys how well versed you are with the Dracula story, the original story, which I think is superior. Nosferatu from Robert Eggers comes close to nailing that vibe, but there's a scene that's been portrayed in many movies, including Nosferatu, where the ship bringing Dracula in, I think it's a Russian ship called the Demeter, right? The ship comes in and, you know, all the crewmen are dead, the captain as well, they're drained of blood, the captain is tied to the navigator's wheel, and Dracula escapes as in the form of a wolf, a big dog, you know, into the forest. Well, they show that so dramatically in so many films, but in the book, it's just one page from a weekend gazette about the weather in that neighborhood, that area, Whitby, right? And it's on page 3, I believe, or it's not page 1 of that magazine. First, they go start talking about the weather, how nice it is, and tomorrow and all that. And then a couple pages in, they start talking about how there was a storm and a ship that came in, a derelict ship, and no one saw anything or any survivors except the white dog, big white dog that jumped from the ship and ran into the woods. And that's all. But when we read that, you get like a chill, like, ooh, you know, like it feels like it's really happened, you know? So that whole genre with the fantastique and Bram Stoker's choice of writing Dracula that way, right? That's the same element I feel that Chris Nolan brings. The feeling like, okay, I'm just going to give you a window and I'm going to show you these things happening in this world. You're just watching, okay? The people in that world are not too bothered that you're, you know, spectating and watching their world. They're not going to do anything too emotive to make you feel like you're watching something fantastical or fantasy, right? It's just, it is what it is. And that's how I feel when you just see these giants on screen and the way he uses the frame in a way that style frame would be used in a political thriller or a heist movie. He just puts it there and bam, these things happen within it. You're like, whoa. So I like that. I like that. Some things that I have an issue, some more stuff that I like. I love Robert Pattinson. Man, this guy, how long is this going? It's 16 minutes. I got stuff to say. Okay. Robert Pattinson, man. This guy, I sound like a mafioso stereotype. This guy, and I am from Chicago, right? Chicago. But I don't talk that way. This guy, Robert Pattinson, what a come-uppin' this guy has done. I've been gone from the States for a long time. I don't know if come-uppin' is the way, the lingo these days. You really do start to lose your English. I've been in Japan 17 years, you know, so. But from Twilight to this, the Batman, the King, the Netflix film, right, about Henry VIII, Is it Henry VIII with Timothy Chalamet? I watched that. His portrayal of the prince, the French Dauphin, right? To High Life, which is on this channel. I reacted to that. It's in the exclusive members tier. But someone, they paid me to watch that basically on this channel, and I'm glad they did, because that was a great film. But the guy, he has so much versatility. I just never would have gotten that from sparkling Twilight, and even before that, he was in Harry Potter, right? But he is an actor. He's an actor. I'm so glad to see that actors still exist. I know that's gonna make some people like head spin, right? But you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot of movie stars out there. I love Tom Cruise. He can be an actor as well, an actor, okay? But man, there's so many actors or movie stars that play themselves in every film. But Robert Pattinson is one of those guys that goes back to, I feel like, the Marlon Brando era, right? He really, and Daniel Day-Lewis, okay? Forgive me, Daniel. You are an awesome actor, man. So I feel like Robert Pattinson is he at that level yet? He's approaching it, for lack of sheer volume of work, but he's approaching it. You tell me, what do you guys think about it? So yeah, I love that. I was gonna say Tim Horton, no, Tom Holland. I'm a little hungry. Tom Holland. Tom Holland. Tom Holland is also a good actor. I love him in the Spider-Man films. I feel like he's one of the most comic accurate Spider-Man. Okay, each one has something a little different they bring to it. But yeah, so I don't have much else to say about him. We'll see where that goes. I feel he's getting a little bit too old to be playing that role of Telemachus. We'll see. Now, here's some issues I had which later got rectified in my mind as it went on. Okay, once again, as I said to you guys, I am a missionary. I am a missionary, but also a Bible teacher, kind of entry-level scholar, growing in that as well. I've written a book on some of my research that I've done on biblical archaeology called Sands of Time. You can find it on Amazon. Went to British Museum, did some research, touched certain biblical artifacts face to face, gave me goosebumps. It was amazing to see something like that people had no idea exists, So I'm really about truth and digging for truth and objective truths and things like that. And that means that I'm really into representation, not for any political aim or anything like that, but just we exist in the real world with real human beings and real histories and cultures, So I like to see things represented as they are or as they were, to help tie it to the reality of this world. So when I saw like all these different races, and I was like, I don't have any problem with multiculturalism, because in ancient times, contrary to what people may think, in ancient times, in ancient Rome, Greece, especially Rome, you had a lot of diversity in ethnicity because the empire was vast, right? I mean, from Egypt all the way to certain parts of Western Asia, right? They wouldn't go further east because they had empires out there that would kick your behind back then, okay? So I don't have a problem with that. But when it comes to displaying certain gods or even Greeks as looking a certain way and all that, I'm like, But then again, the artistic side of me came up and I was like, you know what? If I was to look at this, and I don't know if Nolan is doing this, but if you were to look at this as a stage play, okay? like in London. London now does not reflect the you know, racial diversity that it was at its inception, you know, over 1,500 years ago, right? No, today it's like bustling, you know, Indians, Persians, Africans, you know, Celts, and so if you were to go there today and see it as a stage play, you could totally see that, right? And that's why I kind of feel what's going on. It's like a marriage of Nolan's traditional hyper-realist style with the camera and the muted colors and all that, with celebration of this story having just journeyed through all the ranks of the theater world over the centuries. You know, can you feel what I'm saying? You know, even down to the costumes. I've heard people say that they're not authentic, but I feel like if this is the angle that he's going with, that this is celebrating the theatrical history of the Odyssey, you know, that's been retold so many times, then even the way that they look, the design of the shields and the armor and all that looks like high theater, you know, high Western theater, you know. So in that regard, from that point of view, I think it's interesting. I want to check it out, you know. Kind of similar to Denzel Washington doing, which I haven't seen, the Coen brothers. The Coen brothers version of what is it? Coen brothers version of what is it? Macbeth, right? That's Scotland. We know that a black man was not Macbeth, okay? But once again, the look of the film, within, you know, being black and white and has that feel of a stage, it reflects the more theatrical heritage of doing these kind of classical stories, you know. So maybe one day we'll get an adaptation of the Odyssey that is much more on the other side, flip side of the coin, you know, treating it as reality, right? Someone goes and does the research. Even though I suspect if you know what the Trojans and the Greeks' armor really looked like back then, you might not want to see that on the screen. Or if you're someone like me that is really, really into history and, you know, looking at tablets and cuneiform and stuff like that, it might be a treat for you. Okay. Well, guys, if you liked my reaction, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. It's okay. Always getting better. God bless you wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you next time on the sofa.